Welcome everybody to week 10. Welcome everybody to week 10. All right, remember last week I told you, I said we're going to talk about texture this week. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk about texture and we're going to do texture this week. So, texture. If you look right here, the word texture has some cool textures to it. So yes. All right. Let's get into some different types of texture. All right. There are actually two types of texture. Let me go into that real quick first. Okay, so there is physical and visual texture. There are two types of textures. Okay? Physical and visual. All right? So physical is what you see. Physical is what you can touch. And physical is what you can touch, and visual is what you can see. Miss CT's having a brain moment today. All right, so if I pulled this pine cone out, I can feel and see the different texture in this pine cone. And because of the season, yes, we have some cool pine cones outside that you can touch. So this is visual and physical. You can feel the different texture. Okay? Feel. All right? So we also have other types of texture. There's plenty of texture around your house that you can look at. So like this pipe cleaner has a fuzzy feel to it. If you have a pet at home and they might have cool texture on your pet. If you look at our skin is smooth. That's texture. Some people deal with sponges. If they're cleaning, this is a sponge actually that I use for painting. But this is a sponge and it has visual and physical texture so you can feel it. Has a funny bumpy feel to it. Okay? And I'm going to get into one more. So you've got these lays. They have this kind of funny feel to it. So all this is visual and physical texture. Okay? All right. So now let's talk about the different visual textures. Okay? Visual textures. So we've got rough, like a piece of wood. We've got soft, like a piece of cotton. We've got sandy, which is just like sand outside. Bumpy. Now I have here we go. Bumpy. Rock. Rock is definitely bumpy. Okay? Then we have slick. Slick can mean like this. Metal is slick. It has a slick feel to it. And so does plastic have a slick feel to it. Prickly. Prickly like a plant, or prickly like a rose thorn, or like bushes. Prickly. Pointy. The edge of a Lego has a pointy feel to it. So pointy. Okay. Rocky. I just showed you rocky with rocks. Wet. That's another type of texture. And you can make something look like that. That's what I'm saying. It's a visual look. You can make it look like that. Hairy. I have a dog that's behind me that's hairy. But your hair, if you touch your hair, it's hairy. Okay. Fluffy. Cotton ball fluffy. Woven. Okay, woven. I have this type of material right here, and it has a woven look to it. Okay, it's also netting, so that's both. Okay, and this is also woven. Okay, or if you're using different types of fabric, that's woven. All right, scaly like fish scales. This material right here is scaly. On the side of this metal, it's scaly. Okay, flaky like that something that breaks apart very easily is flaky. So all these different things are in your worksheet that I'm going to have on the Canvas board, so that way you can see all these different visual textures and have them. Okay. All right. So we also have this worksheet that's available on the Canvas page as well, and we're going to do this one together. Okay. So If you have it, if you're able to print it out, that's fine. If not, just use your just regular paper, and we're gonna use 2 sheets. So you can use 1 sheet and then, you know, but if you're not able to print this, or if you don't have this able to be printed, it's okay. So we're going to work on creating this wood look. Okay, so the wood look, watch. I'm going to go like this. So this is texture that is visual. All right, so I'm going to make a line like this. I'm going to go up like that again, and then just making wavy lines. Okay, very wavy lines. You're going to kind of go inside like that to make that look like wood. All right, so there's your wood look. All right, woven. This is a woven look, so you're going to do a wavy line like this. And another wavy line. Some of you will remember we did this last year. Some of my students did this last year. We did this exercise. So you're going to do 2 parallel wavy lines. Another parallel wavy line. All right, and then you're going to just go across. Now I would just go across behind. To do that, okay, and you can kind of just go like that. All right, I'm just going to do 2, but if you want to do more than 1, you could. This is a brick look, so if you're doing a brick look, you're going to kind of go like this. All right, smaller squares, larger squares, smaller squares, larger squares. Almost looks like a cell. Okay, so smaller, larger, and then same thing here, smaller, larger. All right, your brick look. All right, leaves. Now, for your leaves, you can go like this, making oval, or you can kind of go like this to make 3 little leaves. Okay, it's up to you, 1 leaf or okay, all this is visual texture. Okay, butterfly swirls. This is my favorite texture, is a swirl design. So just, you're starting in and you're curling around. Okay, starting in and curling around, starting in, curling around, starting in, curling around, starting in, curling around. So that's all you're doing for that. Okay, and this is woven on a net. It looks like a balloon to me, but it's a net. So we're going to go line, 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 and you're going to do curved lines in one direction. Looks like I need to get my pencil sharpened. So, all right, and then go the other direction. All right, just like that. See? Netting. Okay, so that part is done. We are done with that. So, like I said, once you're done with that, you don't have to turn this one in, but just practice so that way you can be practicing your textures, type of textures. And like I said, these are all visual textures that you can look at, but you can't touch those. All right, so now we're going to practice some texture approaches using your paper. So say, for instance, you have something at home, like a piece of netting like that. You're going to take the paper and you're going to put it on top of that netting. You're going to take a crayon. See, this crayon has paper that's coming off. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to peel the paper off. So that way I can use the side of my crayon. See, just like that. So watch what I'm going to do. Get that paper off of there first. All right. And lay it down flat, and then you go over top of it, and you see, you can get the textures underneath. Now say, for instance, you're drawing something and you're making something. That's cool to have that texture like that. Okay, so say, for instance, I was making a dress, and if I'm making a dress, and that dress has that type of pattern. Okay. All right, I know that's upside down, but it's okay. All right, so that's one. All right, same thing here. And I'm going to use the same color, but, you know, please, you can use other colors. This is a Lego And I'm going to use the Lego same way. The paper underneath, and there's my texture. Okay? So that's another type of texture that you can do with textures that are available around the house. You can take leaves, and I forgot. Oh my goodness, that was one I was going to use to do. Was a leaf. So let's see. That's another type. That's just using some netting. Okay. All right. Hunter. Thought my son could maybe go grab a leaf from outside. It's okay. It's all right. All right. So here, this is one of the mats that I have that I use for different projects, but this is actually just a mat that you use from a mat that you use to eat on. But of course I use this for painting and stuff. But as you see, another texture. All right. All right, so I'm going to move that out the way. And then I have another one. This is another type of mat. And same thing. This one has a different texture. It has a swirl in the center, so you see how that kind of swirls out. So go grab and have some fun with some different textures as well, and see what you can get. All right, so let's get started on our project for today. So, all right, our project today is going to be a hand project that's going to show different types of textures. Okay. All right, so, all right, I got everything that I need. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is with your pencil, you're going to trace out your hand. So make sure that you put your hand down. All right, like I said, with all these bracelets, I have a hard time making sure that I can get the bottom part, but I'm going to start at the bottom. See, starting at the bottom, coming up and around. If you need somebody like a parent to help you trace out your hand, or someone that's close by, get them to help hold your pencil, trace your hand around, because sometimes it is hard to do it by yourself, but trace out your hand. Go all the way around and come down. All right, so I've done this with another project that we had before, where I made sure I went back and I just kind of cleaned up my lines. And it's okay with this one because this one is going to be a fun texture project that we're going to do. All right, so now each finger is going to be a different texture. But let's use our pencil to get some lines straight first. So let's look. We're going to look at the detail part of our hand and see some different lines in our hand. So I'm going to kind of come like that to make some lines in my hand. So I see that I have hand lines that come like this, that come around. And I'm just going to kind of look at the different hand lines that I have in my hands. And sometimes everybody has the shape of an M for their lines in their hands. So once we do that, we're kind of good. We just have our lines in our hand like that. So let's get started on some different designs. So this one, I think I want to do pointy. All right, so I'm going to come out like this. Like a pointy, jagged type of. So this line, this hand looks kind of like pointy. All right, so I'm going to go in and erase the lines that are inside. So that way I just have my pointy lines like that. Okay, so that one's pointy. All right, this one, I'm going to make it hairy. So you see, I'm going to come around with my diagonal lines. Now you don't have to do the same one that I'm doing. I'm going to have some different examples of some ones on canvas that you can see, but do your own type of design and have fun with it. Like I said, so that one's hairy. Okay, all right. This one, let's see, I might just decide to kind of make this one stripy. So just stripes like bandages going all the way across. And I might end up making like some eyes kind of peeking out from the bandages. Okay, and maybe a mouth. So maybe that would be like the mummy finger. Okay, all right, so that's that one. All right, now this one, let's see, maybe I might want to do a brick design for this one. So if I do a brick design, I'm going to go like this. Looks almost like a metal type of design. Okay. Okay, so that's that one. All right. And this one, let's see. I've done those with that one. Let's see, with this one, I might decide to do some drips. Like it's just dripping. Or maybe something growing from it, so like drips. Okay. All right, so that's that. Now, this is going to be a little different. This one, I'm still going to outline with my Sharpie. But I'm going to, before I do that, I'm going to add some value. And we're going to talk about that. That's another element, just like this texture design is, texture is an element as well. So watch what I do. I'm going to come right here. And remember we talked about doing something on the side. So I'm taking my pencil and I'm going to the side and then I'm going to smudge with my finger. All right, same thing here. Same thing here. Just everything I'm doing on the side. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to smudge. So it kind of looks like it's coming out at you. So when you go through and you use your Sharpie, it's going to kind of bring it out a little bit more. All right. Now I'm going to do the same thing coming down here. I'm going to add some value to the side of my hand and rub. I'm going to add some value to these lines a little bit more and I'm going to rub. Right in here, I'm going to rub. Right in here, I'm going to rub. Okay, here, I'm going to rub. Okay, coming down here a little bit on each side, maybe right here on the side of there, I'm going to rub. Okay, so now it looks like I have some value on those. Okay, and this one right here, because all of that is pokey or the hairy, I'm just going to shade behind it with some light shade lines and then just go over top of it like that with my shading. All right, so this one, I'm going to shade each line, just the side of the line. See, I'm just taking a light way that I'm going back and forth with my pencil to create the shading, and then I'm going to go back through and shade with my, okay? And then for this one, I'm going to maybe do one section here. Make sure your pencil's sharp. I know this one is acting really funny today because I have not sharpened it. But I'm going back and forth on each side to do some shading. Okay. That's that. And then for the drips, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to erase my lines that are inside there, and then I'm going to shade the side of my drops, just the side. Now, like I said, if you want to, because this one, for this assignment, particular assignment, is going to be just shading and your outline with your Sharpie. But if you want to use colored pencil, I would definitely not use crayon on this because sometimes crayon can make it too, the lines too thick. But you can go back and use colored pencil to do some different detail in here too, but make sure, like I said, you do your shading. So you see right now I have a nice shaded design right here, and it completes my texture project. So I'm going to now go through, make sure that you use your black Sharpie, and you're going to start outlining like you normally do. Now I'm going to be very careful because you see here I'm just going to go in, and the ones that I have brought out I'm going to go ahead and do it like that, so that way I still have my outline and my shaded area. So I'm not going over top of my shaded area because it's still there. But if you don't want to outline, if you just want to leave it just shaded, you can. All right, so that's there, and I'm going to go through and I'm just going to outline like this around my finger, and then I'm going to go through and do my hairy lines again, but I still have my shading behind it. And then it's also it's cool because you don't have to go back and erase those little pencil lines because it's okay. All right, so that's hairy on that one. All right, same thing here. We're going to go through when we're going to outline around there. I'm going to make my stripes in here. And I'm not going to go back over my shaded area that I did with my pencil line. I'm just going over the lines that I'm using for the solid line. So there we go for that. Same thing here. I'm going to go around, stop, and I'm going to go through and do my lines that I had like that. Be very careful. You see I went outside my line. You got to be careful not to go outside your line. Okay, so that's that one. And then my last one, go around, and I'm going to be careful not to go over top of my. So now I'm going to make my drips. Okay. All right, there are all my drips. And then I'm going to come here and come down. I don't have to worry about, I'm not going to go in and outline these, but I mean, you know, if you want to, you can, just by doing just one light line, because everything else is textured in. I mean, valued in. So there we go with that. And if you want to do the word texture, you may. We talked about how to make bubble letters already. So if you already can make your bubble letters the way I am, that's fine. But you know, at the beginning of the school year, we practiced making bubble letters. So my X. Okay, there we go. Now, if you want to, make sure you sign. And if you want to do some fun designs on your word texture, you can. You can do just that to make it have texture to it. Or if you want to take the crayon and go behind it, you may do that as well. So there we are. There's your textured hand. Have fun with it. I know we're past Halloween, but that's just a mummy hand, so it's okay, mummy finger. So thank you for entertaining this project with me, doing texture for week 10. I will see you next week for week 11. Please get all projects done so that way I can start working on erasing the board and creating new projects. Have a great week, everybody, and I'll see you next week.